Servus from Vienna. Recently, we had Carnival over here, which could have an unfavorable impact on the seriousness of our program. Nevertheless, I will try to maintain the usual order.
And I will do my utmost to support him.
Our last program was a special edition about the plans of Microsoft's Access team for the period from October 23 to April 24. So we will summarize now what has happened for and around Access in the last half year.
Let's start with the new features.
That was my text.
In the last Access news, we presented these Microsoft plans for Access. So let's take a look at what we've gotten from this list so far. The first point concerns bug fixes as maintenance work. They've done that and we'll talk about that later. We've also gotten a second item. Since October, Access is finally large address aware. It took several years to get this improvement for 32-bit Access. It means that Access, like Excel or Outlook, can now also use 4 GB of virtual memory, and these error messages should be seen much less often. The Access team has also made improvements to the Dataverse connector. Performance has been improved and the data types on which Access and Dataverse can communicate have been expanded. The other 3 items from the list have not yet been delivered. We still have to wait for large monitor support, chart improvements, and the new SQL editor. Not on the list, but also shown as a beta version in our last video, was a second new feature in addition to LAA. We can now open queries directly in SQL View and no longer need to take the detour via Design View. This can be done via context menu, code or macro.
That was the nice part of the show. What update bugs have there been in the last half year? You'll see that I've gone to some trouble.
In autumn, things were still looking pretty good with bugs. There was only one worth mentioning, namely that in many cases, but not in all installations, the auto-expand function of combo boxes did not work. Since the beginning of the year, however, there have been several nasty bugs in connection with linked SQL Server tables. So exactly SQL Server as a backend, which is praised as the stable, professional, secure method, had serious problems with update bugs. There were also some bugs, or more precisely bug variants, which Microsoft was able to fix very quickly using feature gates, which means flipping a switch in Redmond. On the plus side for Microsoft, there are 32 bug fixes in the last few months that have been published on the blog site of the Access team. As always, we show them on our website accessforever.org in a yearly long list that is easy to search.
What else has happened apart from features and bugs?
It started with a shock when it became really clear what it means that Microsoft is working on a new Outlook.
Microsoft has been working on New Outlook for some time. New Outlook is not COM-based and can therefore no longer be programmed with VBA via the object model. After I published this tragic finding on accessforever.org in September, there was a considerable media response and an outcry among Access and many other VBA users. The Access team presented its position at my German conference AK. Classic Outlook will be part of Office 2024 and will therefore be supported at least until 2029. In an emergency, the Access team wants to look into replacement methods for automating Outlook from Access. It is quite possible that this emergency will occur, as there has been no visible response from the Outlook team to the protest so far. Extensibility and programmability from Windows applications is still not on any of their feature lists. Another piece of news is that Publisher will only be supported until October 2026. This does not directly affect most Access users, but Access is losing its sibling in terms of neglect by Microsoft PR. For many years, Access and Publisher have been hidden together somewhere on page 3 or 4 of the M365 info as the two PC-only applications.
The events taking place for Access in this year include a lot of the usual.
But also a few surprises.
This year there are more Access conferences than in previous years. The first Armenstein's Access Day took place in mid-March at Microsoft in Redmond. On April 9, there will be another one-day event of the UK Access User Group in London. Access DevCon will follow on April 18 and 19. In May, the annual meeting of Spanish Access developers. And in October, the Access Developer Conference AK in Nuremberg, Germany. Let's first take a look at the Spanish event on May 9 to 12 in Valencia. The organizer is Access MVP Juanjo Luna, who is also presiding the Spanish Access User Group. I interviewed him about the conference and the Spanish Access community. The meeting of the Spanish Access developers has been a tradition for several years now, and normally it's in Madrid. How did you come up with the idea of organizing it as a beach holiday, a beach party in Valencia this time?
I come from Valencia. I know that it's cheaper. You can be 3 days, all inclusive, for about 200 euros.
How many participants are you expecting or hoping for it?
Now we have 35, and I think it will be 50 persons, 20 speakers, 30 persons that come to listen. I'm very happy. A lot of people from Spain. I come from Austria, as you know. Juan Soto come from America. In last time, I started to find a translator and interpreter, and I hoped that perhaps come people from America, perhaps hopefully can you come from Austria, I don't know. You have to do the video in the homepage from the hotel. It's a really, really nice place. And I will talk to the people invited to come with the family as a little bit holidays. And it's really, really good weather in May.
It's in the agenda on the website. I see one session for Access beginners, a long one on Thursday, and a lot of Power BI and DAX and Power Query XML. Hardly any advanced Access topics. Why did you do this selection?
Now, when you see, you find 3 top points about Access on Saturday. One of them is the automatic invoice. That is very important in Spain when we have a solution with classes from Access. Another point is how can you work with the references. You can repair the reference when you lost the information. We have an ex-MVP, Rafael, that works really good with reference. Another tip point is to work together with Excel and with Power Query. I have a person that can connect data direct with Access between Power Query or with Worker Query on a VBA. I think that's enough about tips from Access. Do you know, I have got connect with people from Latin America. A lot of people they are young people that come from Excel. They come from Power BI. And when they know a little bit how Access can help, they are very happy about together learning.
We are already talking about people from Latin America, and I'm curious about the Spanish-speaking world, because around 600 million people have Spanish as their mother tongue. So it's a huge audience that you have in theory. There must be thousands of people who work seriously with Access. But when I look at the meetings and at the user groups, I have the impression that it is not easy to use and organize this potential. As I know it from my regions too, of course, from German and Italian, etc. Do I see that correctly for the Spanish people too?
It's the same. Do you know how old is the people, the Access developer? How many people are free with YouTube, with the social media? Not a lot of people. The young people, when you wanted to start to work with TikTok, with another technologies, how many Access developers can you find in that place? You find no people. But when we stay in the same place, and when we not try to fish to other place, to find people on the other sea, you are taught. I have then offered to make 2 conferences this year in the University from Medellin in Colombia from an Access course for the university. I'm not the teacher, but I will make the first conference. When it's a lot of people that they want to learn that. You don't find that in Europa, that you don't find young people in Spain that want to learn. But in America, they haven't seen that in USA, they work a lot with access. That people can work through America.
Also in Latin America, there are no big, strong access communities that you can use or contact.
When 20 years ago, the access user groups in Spanish started in Latin America. Today, the group is a little bit inactive, but we start to make a lot of things, and I think in 1 per month, we can revive another time that group.
So what they are missing is community building and the support from Microsoft, like everywhere, isn't it?
Yes.
Because everything concerning access is in Redmond, is American, is English, and that's it, isn't it?
Yes. But it's that an opportunity. When you are alone, you are the king. You can go as you can. You need motivation, but you can do it as you will. Microsoft, they will work with Spain. No problem. We are here.
So thank you very much for the interview, Juanjo, and all the best for your event.
Thank you very much. You're welcome, and see you in Valencia, hopefully. Adios.
Oh.
What? You, as a neutral observer, which event will be the most interesting, informative, worth 1,000 times the little fee?
Let me think, my dear fellow. Mediterranean. London.
Think of your salary.
The virtual access DevCon is of course something special because it provides my salary.
The English language Access DevCon will once again take place virtually in Microsoft Teams. It's 2 days packed with presentations for Access developers. The Microsoft Access team will present their current plans and work for Access. I'm contributing an update from a community and developer perspective and a presentation on UI ergonomics. One focus is artificial intelligence, Copilot from Microsoft, the most important current applications for practice, and the current state of the only professional AI add-in for Access. Advanced tricks for Access forms, the new Microsoft Fabric, an overview and what it has to do with Access, current status of Twin Basic and what you can practically do with it for Access, optimal communication with customers, how to centralize dispersed data, and 2 short tool presentations. We already have more than 100 registrations, so DevCon will probably be the biggest Access event this year. Since the Access DevCon in 2021, we have been offering workshops for Power BI and Power Apps targeted at Access developers. The aim is to expand skills with these Power Platform applications, which can be used to create mobile apps and BI evaluations, also as a supplement to Access applications. The next workshop dates are in late April. Speaking of DevCon in 2021, Alessandro Grimaldi made his first appearance as a conference speaker. His advanced graphic designs, which one would hardly think possible with Access, had the participants on the edge of their seats. Alessandro has recently published a book in which he passes on the techniques for such designs to interested Access developers. I interviewed him about his book. In times like these, where you supposedly learn everything via YouTube and video, why did you write a book? I mean, is it because of the age of the Access people, we know them, or because of yours?
Thank you for the kind question and the kind reference about my age. And I was discussing this project with a friend of mine, and he said, why don't you make a book instead? And thinking about it, I thought it was a good idea. Faster and less difficult than videos, even though nowadays everything is YouTube, video, blog, vlog, clickable, interactive, and fast. But As you said, I have an age, and I still remember how good it was to slow down, sit somewhere quietly and read a book. And here we are. This is how the book is structured, and basically it's made up of 3 main chapters. In the first one, I explain my best practices when writing code. The second chapter of the book is a very short, basic introduction to VBA classes. I know that many developers don't use classes, but when it comes to graphical interfaces, are essentials. And these first 2 chapters have nothing to do with graphical interfaces directly. But in the third part of the book, I explain how to build these interfaces, and I use my original code, which implements all of these conventions. So I start from the very start. The dragging engine I developed sometime around 20 years ago. This is the basic of all my interfaces. The goal is to make an image draggable like this, and so you can drag them while the lines still stay connected during the movement, which is rather fluid. And this is just a basic example, of course, but it should be enough to give you a sense of what can be done with this kind of technique.
Is this example included in the book as a download?
Yes. What we are seeing now, what I'll show you now, is the actual files that comes with the package. So this is what you get.
Great.
This is the first part, how to make an image draggable, adding more images and connecting images with lines. Then I show a couple of variations of this technique to show how easy it is to adapt it to different situations. In this case, we have what I call the ghost label, which is a dragging a label and which interacts with other things, other objects on the screen. Another example is the sliding forms. In this case, there are only 4 subforms, but they can be any number. And they are fully functional subforms, so you can place objects on them, controls. The next topic is what I call the presence vector technique. Sometimes it's called bit field technique. And basically, it's a way to address the single bits of a number, and these bit manipulation can be used to store and retrieve information about multiple entities. The last chapter is the most complex, of course, and I show how to build the scrollable timeline where objects can be dynamically placed. And this is how it looks like. You have a scrollable timeline, you can place objects on it, which scrolls with the timeline. They get out and in, they get resized as they get in and out. So it's very dynamic.
You can move them around the objects, I think.
You could, not now. In this case, I only show the basic techniques to draw the timeline and place the objects. But these techniques can be combined together to create something new. For example, the drag and drop technique can be combined with this scrollable timeline to make the objects movable or resizable, so to create something like a Gantt chart. So somehow this book provides the bricks with which you can build different houses. The book comes with all these files. You can easily embed them in your projects and start working with them, even if you don't understand the code completely.
Hey, yeah. What's this?
Yeah, this is an example I showed several times in my past presentations. I can show you live. I have it here.
Yeah, sure, do it.
Here it is.
Make people curious.
So you can create several ships. It was about moving food from land from donors to Ethiopia ports. Yeah. And here's a variation of the drag and drop playing here. You can connect donors and vessels, so to simulate the loading of the ship. But again, you can see it looks different, but it's always the same code. That's a drag and drop between 2 images connected by a line. So the same thing we saw the first time.
Alessandro, how much does the book cost and where can I get it?
I sell the book for €50, 50 euros, I would say. And the only place where you can get it is my online shop.
So we go to your website, alessandrogrimaldi.com.
It brings my name, so it's easy to find. And you can click in here, you can visit my my shop. There are tutorials, free stuff, workshops, and some tools. Or you can go directly to online shop, and this is it. This is the Italian version, and this is the English version.
Thank you very much for the interview, Alessandro.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Carl, for having me here.
I'll get you.
You don't believe that yourself?